Okay, so our next video is about Bretton Woods institutions. So for this video, I borrow these presentations from in the slide share from this Mr. Manjit Kumar. I think it's very nice to do that. So okay, let me start. Okay, so this is the conference in Bretton Woods. It's happened in New Hampshire, USA, 1944. Okay, let me start from the beginning. So, okay, basically, if we talk about Bretton Woods institutions, there's two understanding. First is the specifically in terms of their monetary conference, monetary institutions, but also in general understanding when we talk about Bretton Woods institutions is about the institution, three different kind of institutions that being set up after the World War II. The idea is how to create economic institutions that will sustain the global peace and prevent any further World War III. With the understanding that because the how economic and power and conflict and war and peace are interrelated. So next, okay. Okay, then and when okay, so I will talk in the second understanding of Bretton Woods. What's it? Meaning in terms that there's three institutions that we are talking about here. We talk about IMF in terms of the financial matter. The second is in terms of the trade. We have WTO, formerly is called GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. And then the last is in the World Bank for the development assistance, formerly is called as IBRD, so International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. So yeah, this conference are being held after just kind of few days or few months prior to the end of the World War II. The understanding that how okay, so conflicts are being created due of the World War One conditions and also the how government responded to the Great Depressions of 1933 or 1930. How they focus more on their national interests, creating very extreme mercantilist policy in their economy that bring competitions or actually similar like what we see nowadays in terms of trade war. They do very extreme in protecting their own economy by preventing import using trade tariffs and taxes and quotas to prevent any import and to prevent national wealth to be expanded, being used to buy foreign products, and also how they manipulate their currency in order to support their export conditions. So again, I just want to focus on this idea of how economies are linked to the conflict or war. So first, the understanding that World War II or even like World War I is one of the factors is because of the competitions, economic competition between countries, and this lead to the countries who focus on their own interests. So the idea is how to create conditions that prevent these competitions, extreme competition between countries. So the liberals' ideas in this matter is their answer is providing institutions, how to create institutions that will build trust among nations, among countries, that they will work together to solve their common problems. And the second is because of their understanding that linked economy don't go to war. So if they have international trade, countries who export will not kind of undermine their business partner because yeah, they need to sell their products. So if their other countries are having problems in their economy, so they cannot buy our products. So, and at the same time, if we have problems with our economy, other countries cannot export their product to what's it, our country. So, and so that's why the interdependence between countries, the economic impressions based on liberal ideas is actually indeed create interdependence relations, mutual interdependence, meaning that they will need others to succeed. So by these definitions, countries will not create conflict or make war with each other. So this is the place where the Bretton Woods institution being discussed and then later on being agreed. So what are those Bretton Woods institutions? First is the IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction of Development. So the idea of having this institution is actually to help the war-torn countries in Europe to rebuild their countries. So after the World War II, the countries are being devastated by the war. They don't have infrastructure. They don't have economic activities. People are suffering. So and Europe is the main trading partner for US. So although US is being the winner of the World War II, they need to maintain their economic activity by exporting their products to other countries, and other countries at that time are being destroyed by the war. So the first step is creating institutions that will help European countries to build their economy, build their countries. They have what's so-called Marshall Plan, basically like giving assistance for these countries to rebuild, and later on there's the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and giving loan for these countries to build infrastructures, to create education, to build their school, their offices, road, everything to support their economies. And after some times, understanding that it's not only Europe that need help or Japan, but also a lot of developing countries after the World War II, because they are newly independent countries, they need assistance to rebuild, to build their countries. So we have what's so-called now is a World Bank. So these institutions providing loans or help, financial help for the countries to to create a long-term project, to build roads, to build transportations, to build educations, this kind of things that will support their economy. The second institutions that being agreed from the Bretton Woods conference is they call it General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, or GATT. Later on it's become WTO, the World Trade Organizations. So the idea is like this. So war happened because countries are competing in terms of trade, in terms of the economy between each others. So they prevent import from other countries. They don't want to buy other products because it means that they want to become wealthy. They want to keep their wealth, just like what we see right now between US and China, how US are being furious because of they buy too much, they bought too much from China, and China bought less from US. So there's a deficit of international trade, of the trade deficit in the US, from the US side, and like Trump, they want to make this a balance, also bring surplus. So was it Trump put taxes, put tariff for Chinese products, and later on China also retaliate by putting more taxes for U.S. products. So that's what we call trade war. And this trade war, according to liberals' ideas, is the one of the cause of why we have World War II, because of countries are creating trade war and they are not doing trade between each others. So the idea is how to solve this if we have institutions that will mitigate these competitions. They create agreement between countries that maybe like they build trust that okay, if I reduce my tariff, you will reduce yours, and I can sell my product, you can sell mine. So this kind of the idea if we have a liberal trade conditions that every countries can sell and buy the products. So again, as we discussed before, the link, so this interdependence between economies will prevent any conflict or war. So the idea of how international trade will prevent international conflict. So that's why we have this WTO, or formerly called GATT. The last institutions is International Monetary Fund, or IMF. So it's also related to the critics of liberals to the mercantilist approach of economy. Mercantilists understand that states should be very influential, protecting their national wealth, reducing import, increasing export, and yeah, they reduce import by putting tariff and quota. But how they increase their export? And one way, among others, is actually by manipulating their currencies. Just like the complaint of U.S. toward China for a few last few decades, meaning that okay, they criticize China because they put the value of the yuan. It's not as supposed to be. It's lower than it's supposed to be. So how what's it? Currency rate influence your export. So the idea is actually if you have less what's it? Okay, so depreciations in terms of your your currency, meaning that your products is being considered by foreign consumers as a cheap as a okay, cheaper, right? So it means if you have now you have $1 can buy just one chairs from Indonesia, from Jepara, but then because we have a depreciation, the value of the rupiah is lower than before compared to dollars. So meaning that people in US can buy with their same money, $1, they can buy two chairs, assuming that the cost of the production of the chair is still the same. So the idea is how countries manipulating their currency to boost their export, but then this create also a trade war between countries. So liberals ideas think that we need to have institutions that will coordinate in terms of the exchange value of the currency. So this is what the IMF is doing. So the IMF is different with the World Bank, meaning that the World Bank focus on in terms of long-term financial assistance, but IMF is more very short-term in terms of the balance of their case, the budget. So if they have problems in their balance of the budget and it influence their currency, so they can sustain the value of their currency to become stabilized, and that it will not bring damage to the country's economy and also other countries' economies. So these three, like this triad or trilogy in terms of the Bretton Woods institutions. So for now, I will not go further on detail how this institution works, their failures or their problems or their success. But for now, I just want you to understand that how these three main financial and trade institutions, international institutions, based on the idea of how economies link to the conflict or war, and how the World Bank, WTO, IMF is by the winner of the World War II, is set up or designed to prevent another conflict. So this is an based on the liberals' idea of how the extreme mercantilist policy are damaging not only for the local economy, national economy, but for the global economy and also global peace too. So yeah, this is the second video. So please take a look or more on detail on the textbook. So okay, so what do you think about this?